number 4, but I don't want to.
Yeah, no, it's fine. No, it's fine. Yeah.
So that's great. So our next question is, Victoria, when you look back at your early career phase,
Yes.
in your academic career, are there any lessons that you have learned and would like to share with our emerging researchers today?
Yeah, there's lots of lessons. It's a hard one, but it's I think it's a really useful one. I would say have a balance, have a life balance. When I first started, I was an early career researcher with 2 young children. But at the time, you didn't really talk about your children at all. So they were hidden. There was no pictures on my desk or anything like that about my girls, because it was kind of, you focused on your work, right? So I think being able to embrace who you are, your positionality as a person, as a woman, is important, and not to hide your private life. You are who you are because of who you are. I think that's number 1. I think number 2 is that find something which is also different to your academic life. So now I run. I'm also learning to be a stand-up comic.
Ooh,
so I'm doing comedy. Also, I love music anyway, but read academic work, but also read fiction work. So have a balance. I think that's really important. What I've learnt is, what has been authentic about my work is to keep being authentic about me. Even though I've had some very tough times because people don't like who I am, because I am authentic me. Keep being authentic. Even though people want to change you to be something different as an academic, always stay authentic. I'll always say that to anybody, and it's very difficult because most early career researchers, mid-researchers, senior researchers have a different you. So they have a different me. If I meet the Queen, which I have, if I meet different people in different countries with their presidents, whether they are ambassadors for countries, whatever they are, how I'm speaking to you is the way I speak to them. I will never lose my authentic me. And I think that's a really important part. You may not understand it at the moment, but I think that's really important. Hold on to you, because there's only one you. And I think that is a lesson to learn, because if you don't know who you are and you don't keep to who you are, that's when you'll get troubled with mental health issues or well-being issues, because you're trying to be this, you're trying to be that, you're trying to change, you do this, you want to be a real academic because you've been appointed as an assistant professor or this, and you think, now I need to wear certain clothes, now I need to do certain hairstyles. No, be you. That's what I'd say.
It's really powerful.
Yeah.
Thank you. And our next question would be, when are you writing and editing? What do you think is your good habit to keep you going?
Oh gosh, yeah, so at the moment I'm behind with a book, so I don't know. I think, again, look, when we're writing and we're doing stuff, the most valuable time, which we just don't realise when we're writing, is when we're doing our doctorate. After that, we never get that time again, because we have to write and work and do other stuff. So it's understanding the rhythm and what's easy for you. So, for example, at the moment my daughter's just done her A-levels, so she's coming to university, right? I've had to kind of put my time I wanted to do writing aside, because I need to support her, because she's going to university and she's, you know, she needs to know that I'm supporting her in a certain way. So that's important. So also, I'm an intensive writer. So when I start to write, I will do intense. Everything goes to the writing. It's and I sit there for hours, and I'm a late night person and an early morning person. So recognizing your rhythm is really important. Editing, I hate editing. Oh, but I've got lots of friends I can say, could you read this for me? Because I don't want to read it again, because I just don't want to read it again. And so they will read it for me. So I think have a network of friends, even if it's 2 or 3, but trustworthy ones, not people who are going to take your work. Because I innocently used to just give it to people, and before you know where you are, it's being published. So be very aware that the academic world is ruthless, especially with early career researchers, with new ideas and all things like that. Many people will just take your work. And so I think with editing, find someone to work with you. Don't work on your own. Always have someone to talk to. Be free to kind of talk to people and say, look, I'm kind of stuck on this page here. Could you talk about that? But trust them. Don't give it to them because you think, yes, they're a big name. They won't be very aware. Yeah, is that helpful?
Yes, very much. I was actually just thinking I'm going to review this video a couple times to learn the lessons more. Yeah. Actually, I somehow skipped one very important question we ask everyone.
Okay.
Is what are the 3 words coming to your mind when we talk about diversity? Because that's the theme of
this year's conference,
yes.
isn't it? Yes. What's the 3 words? One is representation. That's a really important point. Representation. Context. Context, I think, is really important. And the 3rd word for diversity is voice. Now, I use the word representation because people like to duck and dive, meaning they like to avoid representation. I mentioned something to somebody yesterday and I said, well, you know, it's very white in this conference. And this guy said, well, I can't help being white. So he went straight on the defense. I didn't say it was about him. I'm saying it's very white. So representation, people make excuses. Well, it's in Scotland. But we're not talking about Scotland. We're talking about it's a European conference, which is worldwide. Why can't we have representation? That's number 1. The second one I said was context. Context is really important because perhaps people can't get to the conferences from the global south because they haven't got any money. And we make it so unaccessible for people to actually come to. So maybe we need to think about that as well. So that's why it's context. Context becomes, it's very expensive to come here, all right? The 3rd one, which I said, what was the 3rd one I said now?
Voice.
Voice, yes. So my voice, people might think, I don't want to hear her voice again. She's got a voice which perhaps threatens some people, makes them feel uncomfortable because I ask difficult questions. I don't ask difficult questions, I ask academic questions which need to be asked. They may like a voice which is more stereotypical, more, what word would they use? More softer, less challenging, because they might see it as a model minority. You know the terminology, model minority, so they feel more comfortable with a model minority challenging them than somebody who's from an African Caribbean background, challenging them because they feel that somebody from that background is easier to accommodate them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So voice is important. A powerful voice from a white male, perhaps people sit up and think, wow, even though he may not be that good, but a powerful voice from a black woman, they think, no, that's just somebody who's got ahead of themselves.
We need to be more aware of the preconceptions we have.
Exactly. And challenge each other. Feel comfortable to challenge, because we do need to challenge, because that's why we're in academia. Is to challenge, not to say, oh, I'm so sorry, do you mind? No, just say, look, I want to talk to you about this. I didn't like what I said. And somebody yesterday in the session, I wasn't sure whether he was in the session yesterday, and she challenged, she said something challenging in the session, which I thought was really, really good what she said. But they didn't take it up. Because she said that she felt that the way I was chairing enabled early career researchers to be able to learn, because I was able to also give them feedback because of my background in gender and all things like that. And they may have thought that I told her to say that, but I didn't tell her to say that.
I don't think so.
But they didn't take it up because it was challenging, and people find that difficult.
People prefer safer questions.
Exactly. So was there something you wanted to ask me which you thought, I'd love to ask Victoria, but I didn't ask her?
Yes, actually. I wrote this down,
Yes.
and as accidentally very much, I think, tied up with what you have already said.
Yes.
In terms of balance and being authentic.
Yes.
So the question I have is,